All right. Well, hi guys. My name is Dr. M. I am the education chair from the CCA, and I am here getting to interview Dr. Adam Harcourt.
Hi, how you
Dr. M,
doing?
go ahead and say hello.
Hi, Dr. M.
Hi. All right. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So, what do you do?
We recently relocated. We used to have a practice in Santa Barbara in California, and then we had a practice in Beverly Hills. And then right before COVID, we moved back to Pennsylvania, which is where I'm from, and I'm currently practicing. And we've been primarily seeing migraine and post-concussion and dizzy cases for the last 10 years. And so about 7 or 8 years ago, I started developing a migraine program that we teach postdoctorally through the Carrick Institute. And then from that, I also wrote a book called Mastering Migraine. I also have created supplements for both the prevention and abortion of migraine. And we're just continuing to try to dive into that and make people aware that it's not just a headache, right? And there's so many other
Right.
things you can do to help out. And that's really the goal of the presentation and anything that we do to talk to other doctors.
Awesome. I can't wait. I think you're booked on Saturday, and I'm so excited. I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, I'm looking
What,
forward
tell
to
me
it.
a little bit about what got you into chiropractic in the first place. What made you want to become a chiropractor?
Well, that's funny. I didn't want to. My I am the fourth generation of chiropractors in my family. So as many of you know whatever your parents do, you want to rebel and do the opposite. So I looked into just about every other healthcare field that I could, and growing up in a chiropractic household, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So I eventually enrolled in chiropractic college, and within the first week or two, I was introduced to kind of the clinical neuroscience, functional neurology paradigm, and I loved it. It made a lot of sense to me. And so I've been going down that rabbit hole for quite a while. So my dad is currently still in practice. He's been practicing for about 40 years. He took over the practice from my grandpa, who started in 1955. And the only reason he didn't practice with his dad is because they weren't giving licenses in Indiana back when he graduated. Because my great grandpa started in 1923. So we've been at chiropractic for quite a while now.
Long
And
line.
that's
Yeah, long line of
yeah, yeah. So that's
chiros.
that's kind of what got me into it. And then I started as a neuro practice from day one, and I was focusing on TBIs and multiple sclerosis because we've done some research on that. And I just kind of found out in my community that I kept getting all these migraine, concussion, dizzy patients that had just been through the ringer. And we just did things a little differently and had some good results. And at first I thought I figured out migraine, and then I got more complicated cases and realized that that's not it. And that's what kind of led me down the nutrition, the functional medicine, the hormones, the lasers, like all the other stuff we've added were
Yeah.
from me failing with patients. And so it's just been kind of an ongoing journey ever since then.
Awesome. That is so cool. Tell us a little bit about what has your favorite case been so far to work on and to help with?
Ooh, man, that's that's a
Putting you on
tough
the
one.
spot.
Yeah, you are. I have so many ones I've enjoyed over the years. I'll tell you one that was I think really speaks to what I try to get across with migraine is most people think of it as like a headache, right? But what we try to explain is migraine is a genetically mediated neurological condition. And what it does is it creates this instability in certain parts of the brain. And when that area gets overwhelmed or fatigued, it causes symptoms. And so in a lot of people, it affects the area of the brain that inhibits head and face pain. So when that fails, you get head and face pain. But the exact same thing can happen in the areas that control balance or vision or even your sensation of your motor function and pain and temperature and things like that. So it's the exact same problem, just in different parts of the brain. So a good example of this is hemiplegic migraine, which is pretty rare. But what it
Yeah.
does is when people have hemiplegic migraine, it looks like they're having a stroke, facial drooping, they get numbness, weakness, they can't stand. And one of my cases was a younger girl in Michigan, I think. And, he had been told she had a stroke and went into the hospital. They kept her there for 4 or 5 days so she had a stroke. And on the way out, they go, by the way, we didn't actually find any evidence of a stroke. It could be this other thing. We don't know what it is. We'll see you later. And she ended up not being able to get off her couch for about 7 months before we got in contact with her. And she was early 20s, right? Young girl, very healthy. And so knowing that migraine is this constellation of symptoms, that it has to do with this neurological condition, we started her off remotely with nutrition and hormonal interventions that are appropriate for migraine. And just from that, she was 70% better, right? She's moving around, she's happy. So when we get her out to our office in California, it turns out she's not as good as she thought she was. She was just happy to be up moving around. And so she still had a number of neurological, musculoskeletal things. And we were able to fix those up within the week of seeing her. And that was at this point about 6 years ago. And she hasn't had another episode since then. And she's gone on to build businesses and create, all this really super cool stuff. And it's been really neat to see her. And she's been an advocate for what we do. And, we've helped a lot of people because of her. So that was an interesting case. But to me, it just goes to show when you see things that are migraine, whether they're vestibular, ocular, hemiplegic, whatever, you treat them as migraine, not for what you see the symptoms to be. And if you do it that way, you get some pretty great outcomes.
That is awesome. That's pretty amazing. 6 years, not one since. That's a good,
That I was
it's a good
surprised.
outcome, I would say.
Yeah, it's not super common, to be honest. Yeah.
Right. But that's pretty cool. I love it. And that's just like one of the best parts of our job. I swear this is the best job in the world. Like,
it's pretty great.
You said you didn't even want to be a chiro, and here we are changing lives. So that's super cool. Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit. So obviously you'll be speaking on migraines, but tell us a little bit about what we're going to be learning at the Mid-Year REV Up this year.
Yeah. So, well, buckle up. All right. Because we're going to go real fast. And so I only have 2 hours, and I'm trying to pack kind of a flyover version of what we do in the migraine program into those 2 hours, so I can both kind of give a comprehensive overview of what we're actually dealing with, because that's what most people don't understand. And then at the same time, give you some practical applications and things that you can do in your own office. Because one thing that I really emphasize when I teach is the fact that everyone that practices, whether they're chiropractors or PTs or acupuncturists or medical doctors, whatever, everybody does different stuff, right? And so if you understand, hey, I'm awesome at low force or upper cervical or nutrition or whatever, that's fantastic. And if there's other parts of migraine that you don't really do, if you at least know what's involved, now you can start making inroads with your acupuncturist, your nutritionist, your, whatever other chiropractors, medical doctors, so that you can now give this person an actual comprehensive approach to migraine, as opposed to what I usually see, which is whatever doctor you go to, that's the migraine treatment you get, the end, right? You go to the chiropractor, they adjust you for migraine, the medical doctor gives you the pills, the acupuncturist acupunctures you, which are all amazing things. They can all be really, really beneficial. But we want to look at it for not what can I do for migraine, but what is migraine and how can I comprehensively manage this patient. So that's what we're going to try to fit into 2 hours. But if all you do is walking away, know what we're dealing with now and how you fit into that paradigm, I'll be pretty happy with the day.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's definitely a little bit of a different perspective on what we've learned with as far as migraines are concerned, right? In school, we learned the different types. We learned maybe the segment that it's related to, maybe upper cervical. But I think we're going to get like a way more comprehensive view of it, which will be really cool. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I think so. I love this stuff. I mean, even when I was putting together a program, I would get so excited about the new papers and this and that. And it's one of those things that to me, as a chiropractor, we have such a breadth of scope of practice that when all these new modalities come out and you relate it back to migraine, it's like, holy cow, we should be the primary on every single migraine case in the world at this point. And that's just not how people view it. And unfortunately, what ends up happening is they go through the ringer, and you'll get people that have surgical decompressions and they have injections, they do all this stuff. And then you give them, an adjustment or some laser work or change their diet and everything's better. You go, oh, man, I wish I would have seen you 10 years ago. Right.
Right.
That's the problem, is we just do it backwards. And so, again, there's no good or bad treatment. It's just, we have to come up with a better way to serve these people, because a lot of them are suffering quite a bit.
Totally. I can totally agree with that. I know. And I think I feel like every doc experiences this, where we go to a seminar and we learn about a topic for 3 days. And then we come in on Monday morning and 20 of those cases show up. It's like
every
a magnet. We start learning about migraines, I get 10 more migraine patients. So
that's right.
I think this will be good. We'll be prepped and ready to help them even more. So super stoked for that. I'm also super interested because this Mid-Year REV Up is very technique based. We've got SOT going, extremities, upper cervical, pediatrics, like all of these different techniques. And now we're going to get to learn a different approach to the migraine. So it's probably like the most diverse technique seminar out there. I'm super excited to see what you'll bring to the table.
All right. Well, I'll make sure to incorporate a little bit of that into the seminar too, because I do encourage that. I encourage everybody to have a couple different techniques in their tool bag when it comes to migraine, because a lot of it has to do with levels of activation. And so, this is why, unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people that have, gone to chiropractor and they say, wow, it was scary. It brought on a migraine. I'll never go back. And you have to explain to them, well, that's actually not a bad thing. That just tells us we hit the right pathway. It was just a little too much, right? It's like if you broke your leg and your first rehab was to run 10 miles. Not that running 10 miles is bad for you. You just got to let the leg heal first. And so, when you can kind of give people that analogy, then they love it again. And now they're huge fans. But, there's a time and a place. Yeah. Time and a place for all those techniques, and they're all wonderful.
Yeah. It already sounds like you're able to communicate it better than most chiros that I've met. So I can't wait to pick up on some of those tools also.
Well, I've been fortunate to have a lot of good influences over the years. So I'm very, very lucky.
Love it. Love it. I cannot wait. Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. I'm just going to give one solo reminder. If you haven't signed up for the Mid-Year REV Up this year, you're going to want to do so. The prices will go up on May 19th, and the seminar is going to be from June 9th to the 10th in Glenwood Springs. Okay. So take a look in your inbox, check out our website, get signed up. This is a seminar you're not going to want to miss.